The Thunder just put an end to the Clippers' 9-game win streak, and I know Kawhi Leonard wasn't out there, but something really stood out to me about OKC's offense. Of course, you've got Shea's guaranteed 30, a bunch of versatile wings who can knock down shots and make plays. What I'm focused on, though, is the flexibility that you get with a guy like Chet Holmgren at the 5. It didn't matter how much LA switched up their lineup, matchups, coverages. With someone so skilled in the middle, it just opens up so much for the team. They started the game with a traditional setup, Ivica Zubac on Chet, and the problem with Zubac is that he's a very traditional drop big, who's kind of stuck to that coverage. So when they run handoff or ball screen action at him, Chet's pretty much always going to have space to pull up for jumpers. This one starts with a pick and pop between him and Shea, and with Zubac dropping back, Terrence Mann is forced to switch out and close that space. That leaves Shea one-on-one with the big man, in other words, not so good for the Clippers. It's not just against ball screens. Zubac's first instinct as a defender is to always sit back and protect the paint, meaning that on a play like this where Chet's trailing in early offense, when he catches the ball, his man is barely above the free throw line. That's almost 10 feet of space, and with a little help from Dort's screen, he's left with a warm-up triple. Whenever Zubac did step out to the perimeter to pick him up, it became pretty clear that the agility was just too much of an advantage. He hesitates before going between his legs to start a drive, and once he's got just that first step by his defender's hip, that length makes him nearly impossible to bother. Here's another example. He starts with a live dribble from up top, throws a left-hand hesitation straight into a crossover to get that first stride by his man, and Zubac's only option is to meet him with some contact, which he finishes through for a chance at 3. Chet was getting literally whatever he wanted against Zubac one-on-one. This one again starts with a drive, but Zubac leaves a little bit of space to protect the paint. Chet stops at the free throw line and fakes a jumper to get him off his feet, then steps through and throws it to himself off the glass for a big-time highlight. To protect Zubac from having to defend Chet in space, the Clippers went to a lot of zone defense. This way, he's pretty much tied to that paint, always in position to protect the rim. Except that leaves Chet with space to utilize the mid-range. Here you're going to see them in that zone with Zubac sitting in the paint, and Chet's going to set up on the elbow. As soon as he gets the ball, Jalen Williams makes an amazing cut to draw in help from the weak side, leaving Aaron Wiggins on an island for 3 easy points. This is where that flexibility comes into play though, because while he can operate in the middle, he's also got the skill to serve as a wing against the zone. Zubac is again chilling in the paint for what should definitely have been called a 3-second violation, but this time Chet's moving into open space for a 3. Terrence Mann attempts to close that space, but to no avail as the 7-footer just shoots right over him. The Clippers actually tried using Mann as a primary defender for Chet in this small ball unit they ran, and I'm assuming the idea is that because Chet's not a very powerful creator and doesn't have the best center of gravity, you can get away with throwing a smaller guy on him, but that clearly wasn't the case. Mann makes the mistake of giving him space to attack, so with a little shoulder bump he creates enough separation to set up some lengthy strides, and all he can do is foul. Here's one that starts with Westbrook on him, but after a ball screen he's got the switch against Mann. Then they clear the middle of the floor for him to isolate from a standstill, and with a little jab work he's exploding on a drive, where that length once again proves to be too much to handle. Another big problem that comes with throwing out these smaller lineups is that in the event Chet beats his man off the dribble or finds some space to attack with the use of a ball screen, there's no rim protector rotating down to help, and that just makes things way too easy. That really stood out when they tried going back to a zone, except with no big on the floor. I talked about how Chet can set up on the perimeter or in the middle, well this time he's sitting in the dunker spot. Now when the ball gets to Case and Wallace in the middle, Norman Powell doesn't have the size to effectively play in between, and is forced to let Wallace take a wide open elbow J. Clearly the small ball wasn't working, so the Clippers came up with yet another idea to try, Instead of Zubats, they put a quicker big on the floor in Daniel Tice, with Paul George matched up against Chet. Against PG, he doesn't have much difficulty working his way to the lane and creating a ton of separation for a bump midi. While all of that was going down though, James Harden was caught with some of the most egregious ball watching I've ever seen. So instead of taking the jumper, Chet hits Dort on a cut for 2. The Clippers adjusted again by actually putting Tice on Chet, to which the Thunder responded by having him run the point. Paul George is worried about that agile downhill attack and overhelps to the nail from 1 pass away, which leaves Dort all by himself as he steps into an open 3. That's like 5 different matchups, multiple coverages, and constantly changing lineups in just 29 minutes of play. Yet none of it worked for even a second. Chet only missed 2 shots in the game, scoring 23 points with 7 assists, as the Thunder marked a scorching 134 offensive rating. As things currently stand, they're 18-8, second in the West, and while there are so many different factors you can point to on both ends, I think the way their rookie big man allows them to adapt to any defense has been one of the biggest keys for their strong start to the season. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Chet. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.